Welcome back to the JumpifyLabs podcast, the show for founders who want growth without the guesswork. Here we break down the systems that drive predictable growth. And today's guest is someone who was told his vision was too big. Not because it wasn't good, but because it reached beyond the company and out into the world. Greg Zlevor is a leadership consultant and executive coach and the founder of HopeMakers, a movement built on practical hope at scale. Greg, welcome to the show.
Jay, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
The pleasure's all mine. I really want to just dive right in and talk about HopeMakers. And I like the story that you shared with me prior, how you basically got I forget what it was that you actually told me, but you had such high praise for what you're trying to build, but also got denied at the same time. Why don't we start there?
It's interesting because a Fortune 50 company came to me at the beginning of the pandemic, and they asked me if I had put together a proposal to train their 50,000 people to bring hope to the world while they delivered their products. And of course, that's like the greatest request ever. And they had 9 different companies pitch on this opportunity, and I was one of them. So I literally gathered 75 to 100 people, thought leaders around the world, coaches, facilitators, authors. And for 2 months, we worked on how can we bring hope to the world? How do we train these people on hope? What is hope? And then how do we bring hope to the world? And so we put together the proposal, we put it in, and it came down in the final interview to us and Essentia. And after the interview, the company came back to me and said, "Do you know why you made the final cut?" And I was like, "No, I don't." And they said, "You're the only one that thought about the whole world." And so essentially what we did is we had a 2-year plan to train the 50,000. And then we had a 2-year plan to train all of their vendors and suppliers so they could have a full ecosystem of hope. And then I made the agreement with the company, the authors, the thought leaders, et cetera, people with IP, that you got paid for phase 1 and 2. But in phase 3, we took everything, packaged it up, and give it to college students, and then train college students to bring hope to the whole world. So literally, we had a plan to bring hope to the whole world. And what's interesting is during our research, we found that generally in a population, you need anywhere from 22% to go along with an idea or a habit in order for the rest of the group to catch on. And so we looked at the world population. We said our goal is 1.716 billion people, because that number was in that range. So the company come back and said, "You're the only one that thought about bringing hope to the whole world." So I was like, "Super." And they said, "It's too big for us. We can't handle it. So we're going to give it to Essentia, not you." And I was like, "People, you have 1 billion people touch your product every day. How can a little guy from Wisconsin sitting in Vermont be thinking about the whole world and you can't?" Long story, we didn't get it. So I went back to the group, and I was disappointed. We spent about 2 months on this proposal. We put together videos, 80-page proposal, design, it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. And I said to the group, "Thank you to everyone for all your work," but we didn't get it. And lo and behold, about half the group said, "Doesn't matter. Don't care. Let's keep meeting. This was too cool and too much fun." I was like, okay. So then I started having face-to-face meetings with these literally really cool people. And we have now been meeting twice a year for 4 years. And we're up to about 150 or so people, maybe 200. And we have 5 just really clear values. 1, listen first. 2nd, appreciate what's working. 3rd, find ways to serve. And then 4th, think big together. And then finally, MGSH. So just make good shit happen. Those are our 5 values. And so now we get together twice a year. We support and help each other bring hope to the world. We also have some nonprofits join us, and we usually take time to solve a question or an issue for a nonprofit. And what's really cool is it's all relationship based. So if I see someone passing out business cards or something, kick them out. This is not us. We listen, we build relationship first. Everyone pays their own way. We have, as an example, we had the lady who helped Barack Obama run his first presidential campaign. I think she was number 2, the COO of the campaign. She gets 20, 25,000 to talk. She paid her own way. The guy who helped Simon Sinek find his why, actually, he found Simon at a conference who was kind of depressed. And he said, "Hey, what's your problem?" He said, "I don't know." And the guy told him, "You got to find your why." And so Mark, who helped Simon develop that, is a part of our group, right? So these people get tens of thousands of dollars for talks. They all pay their own way. And what's really nice and what that creates is everyone comes as an equal. Everyone comes and listens, build relationships and shares. And, I've been told by some folks that it's very unique in terms of the culture that we've created, but it's just a lot of fun. It's the most fun thing I do. I don't know. I just get to be a part of it.
Mm,
So thanks. It's kind of interesting to see how all of that came out of a failure
yeah.
and the neat things happening now. So yeah. So thanks for asking.
Yeah. And thanks for sharing all that context. And
Mhm.
definitely failure is kind of like this fertilizer that helps success actually grow. I want you to be able to share what Hope Makers actually does, some of the actual things that you guys are doing to spread hope. But I want to ask back to that moment when, how does it feel like to be told that your vision is too big?
To be honest with you, I was shocked. I was like, what? I mean, you want to bring hope to the world? Here's how you can bring hope to the whole world. And they're like, no, we just want to focus on our 50,000. And so, that's a great question though, Jay, because I'm trying to think back to the very moment I heard the news. I remember being disappointed because there were some like world-class people as a part of this proposal, like the guy who started conscious capitalism, the father of appreciative inquiry. There's some really like high-end global folks, and this team would have just knocked it out of the park. So I was disappointed because I was really excited to do the proposal, to do the project. What's interesting for me is since then, and it's been a few years now, I'm realizing the vision's possible. Like with the right partner or the right company or the right visionary, I literally know the people who can build the tool and the tools and have the interpersonal skills and the reach to make it happen. So, I mean, my brother told me, "So why aren't you pitching this more?" And he might be right. Maybe I should be out pitching it more. But in some respects, I trust that as Hope Makers grows and we just keep practicing, like listening, appreciating, serving, that the right kind of visionary or company or group of companies will show up and will make it happen. Because I do now very much see and believe how it can happen. And maybe, I mean, I'm not one of these people that says, the time wasn't right and the universe is going to work with you and all. I just kind of do what I can in the moment. But I will say the time that it's been delayed has helped me and has helped the vision get more roots and just be more comfortable and confident with it. And also expand our network to even more people than who were originally in the proposal. So the talent and the ideas are there now.
It's still so odd to me how you mentioned as well that you said that you're just one guy from Wisconsin and your resources are nowhere near the resources that this Fortune 50 company had.
Mhm.
Why do you think an organization, maybe organizations, get scared of ideas that reach beyond them? Why
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a
it
lot.
didn't stop you?
Right. But there's a lot of them, right? So what I do is design and run executive, mid-level, sometimes entry-level management leadership programs for companies. And people who are making the decisions with those funds have other people to report to, either a board or a senior executive team or a group of VPs or someone that they have to report to. And if they're not sure about the ROI, they don't or can't pull the trigger, right? They just can't make it happen. And so that might have been the situation for them. Like they might have been given an edict from the executive team. Look, here's what we want to do. We want to be a force in the world now during the pandemic and do this. But I took it to the whole world, right? And then when they look at it, they're like, oh, I'd love to do that, but maybe not. Right. That is probably what happened, but I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, we can only speculate.
Right.
It is one of those things I guess you'll never know unless we're in those board meetings.
Exactly.
All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the driving force that got you to start this initiative in the first place. What problem exists that you're looking to solve with HopeMakers?
Yeah. So, and I think it's becoming even more acute now with AI. So it's really difficult to know what to trust and what not to trust. Like, I think trust is being eroded at a very rapid pace, especially when a lot of people spend so much time scrolling, and a lot of that scroll can now be occupied by AI generated content that we don't know whether it's true or not. Hence, getting face to face and actually working with the person and seeing what they produce and do, that's probably the easiest and best way to know what you can and cannot trust, or what a person can and cannot trust. So now bringing people together to talk about their mission, their vision, their gifts, their skills, their talents, and then is there something we can do in the world to make it better, make a difference, improve something, a product, whatever it might be, is getting more and more valuable. And the irony is, as the generations move in and people are more and more scrolling, and I think coming out of the pandemic, there's actually fewer and fewer people who have the skills to facilitate and bring people together face to face. So now we have a time in history where it's needed more than ever, and the number of people with the skills to do it is decreasing. So, in part, what HopeMakers does is do that. And we're more about process than we are about outcome, like how we bring people together, how we treat each other, etc. Now, the second thing is, given the world and the way where it's at, we do need to reset how we treat each other, how we solve problems, how we figure things out. And HopeMakers is about that as well. And there are several people in the group who are doing big things who come because they like to get the support and help. And then there are several of us in the group who are finding ways to go out and make a difference, either in small pockets or as a group in other places in the world as well. So our goal is still 1.716 billion people. We don't have a clear plan on how to make that happen, but we are committed to helping each other to go out and do it and keep working at it until we find that way. And that's essentially the focus of HopeMakers.
Yeah, very cool. All right. Well, Greg, how are you actually delivering hope? Let's talk about that. Because hope, it's not something we can touch, feel, see. How do you actually quantify hope, and what is your method of delivery?
Yeah. So actually, hope is something we can feel and see. And here's how. As soon as a person accepts two conditions, one, as soon as they accept the feeling or experience, or embrace the feeling or experience of when they get what they don't want, or they don't get what they do want, and they understand that those two conditions are their best teachers, as soon as they embrace that and embrace whatever teaching or learning they need to have out of those experiences, they now have infinite hope, because they have just understood that their angst is their liberation. And as soon as anyone can step into either of those two conditions and find ways to learn and grow, they have infinite hope. Second, when people like that come together and they agree not to collude, but to help each other embrace even more, then they know they can always figure it out and they'll never be stopped. And that's ultimate hope and infinite hope. So our goal is to, one, support each other so that if we do run in a situation where we feel hopeless or helpless, we can help each other out. And two, in the midst of that, continue to build the muscle to always know we can figure it out and we stick together. And then we have what we call practical hope. Like, we have a confidence and experience that we can figure it out and we can keep trying. And I think the fact that we came out of a failure is kind of interesting, in that failure is our foundation for bringing hope to the world. So hence you can feel that and you'll feel the difference. Like, if you wake up, if you start practicing yourself and all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, well, I've got a problem today and I'm kind of excited about it. I want to see how far I've come. I want to see what I'm going to learn here. I want to see how I handle this. You now, Jay, have infinite hope. Like, you can't be stopped. If you get something you don't want, or you don't get what you do want, and you look at that as your teacher, and you understand that that angst, whatever it creates, is your liberation, and you jump into taking full advantage of that liberation and chasing it, what's going to stop you?
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing stops you. And this is in part, I mean, I teach tools like how to run better meetings, how to give presentations, how to do influence and persuasion, group dynamics. We teach all these kinds of things in companies. But honestly, when a group gets that mindset and then they apply those tools, even internal teams and internal groups become unstoppable. And in some regards, the way the world is now, like I was talking to an AI expert this week, and I was asking him about AI within teams and innovation and creativity, because that's a big topic. And a lot of my clients are wondering, how can we make this really pay off? I mean, I've seen statistics recently that say 95% of AI investment isn't even giving an ROI yet. And I realized in the conversation, and actually the expert admitted this. He said, if anyone tells you they're an expert in AI, they're not. It's happening so fast. No one's an expert in it. There may be some who are further ahead than others, but no one's an expert. And I realized we're behind forever. We'll never be ahead now. And yet we still need to move and make decisions and stick together to figure out and solve problems. So how does someone who realizes they're always behind and yet they still need to act keep moving? You got to have hope. If you don't have hope at that point, you're not going to make it. And so the more we can create pockets, groups, networks that are comfortable being behind and still taking everything they have and leveraging everybody else and sticking together to keep figuring it out are the ones who are going to stay ahead of all the others, even though we're always behind now in one respect in terms of AI.
Wow, that's deep. And this is very powerful to share. I think a lot about an analogy. It's a funny analogy. When it comes to sales conversations, one analogy I use is a foot race with Usain Bolt. And Usain Bolt's the world's fastest man. Just because he's the world's fastest man and no one can catch up to him, does it mean you don't even start the race? You should still try, because the win is the development within yourself. And there's nothing wrong with getting up and trying, because that puts you above the people who don't even.
Sure. Mhm.
Okay, so that's a thank you for sharing that and delivering it the way you did.
You're
Greg,
welcome.
you're building HopeMakers. How are you getting people to rally, and how are you getting them to join the movement?
Yeah. So right now it's invite only. An invite is loosely termed in this regard. You know, people can hear about us and then call me or call a member of the group and say, look, I'd like to be invited. Or they can get directly invited by someone in the group. And the reason we do that is twofold. One, it is different than most events and conferences and gatherings. Like even the high end speakers that we have, some of our speakers get 20, 30, 40,000 a talk. For this, they pay their own way. Everyone pays their own way. So we're all equal. Two, we don't give talks, we have conversations. And it's really important then that everyone that comes in understands that this group is small, it's intimate, it's unique, in that you have access to everyone. You sit down, have dinner together, breakfast together, in the hallway together. And given that, people have to understand that listening is the most valued habit or behavior in our group, willing to listen to each other. And that's very different than most kind of gatherings where the goal is to get an ROI, hand out my business card, get business, get this, get a sale, da, 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 da. That's not our goal. Now, ironically, if people really just sit down and listen and talk to each other, a lot of people end up doing work together, but it's not the goal. Now, that's from a growing perspective. It's why my preference is referrals, people who've been in the group and who know what's going on and they know who to invite because they know the person they're inviting would get it. Now, second, some might see this conversation and say, look, I want to be a part of that group. I get it. Well, if that's the case, then I'll have a phone call with them because I personally vet everyone who's in the room. There've been a couple people who've snuck in because they came with someone else when they weren't supposed to, but for the most part, everyone has been vetted by me just to make sure they get the values, and that's a part of it, and they want to make a difference in the world. So if those two conditions are true, people are welcome to call me or connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm actually the only, kind of ironic, but I'm only Greg Zlevor on the whole planet. So if you find me on LinkedIn, it is me. But that's the way we're growing right now, Jay. And through people hearing probably some of these podcasts or some other messages or other members out talking about it, that's the way it's growing, slow and organic.
Yeah, but it also works to keep the quality high when it's a warm introduction. Another thing that comes to mind is, what is actually coming up for you next? When's your next event? I know you guys meet twice a year. What's something that maybe you're looking forward to now?
Yeah. So we usually have our meetings in June and November. And we have our next meeting coming up in June in Stowe, Vermont, here where I am. And then we've alternated the last few years by going to the West Coast, either LA or Carlsbad or somewhere out in California. And so our next meeting is coming up in June 13 to 15. And if people find me on LinkedIn, I'm happy to share that information with them. Or the other, I think the website is up, HopeMakersCollective.com. So if they go to HopeMakersCollective.com, they can find it. That's coming up. We have a book that we've written, and we're now on the process of getting the book cover done and getting it edited so we can get that published. And then I'm working with a couple people in the entertainment industry, and we're talking about putting together some larger events because we're now getting inklings of brands that might want to connect with us because of our vision and what we're doing. And so we're looking at what would it take to bring some brands together, bring some music together, some entertainment, and put on a more immersive experience in that regard. So having conversations in that area. So those are some of the things coming up. And then in addition to designing and running the leadership programs I do for companies.
What's the title of your book?
Well, there's a few of them, and I've been fortunate to be connected with some. It's like a chicken soup for the soul type process. The title of the book for the Hope Makers we haven't come up with yet. We have a few in mind, so I don't want to share it, but that title is still to come.
Okay. No worries. You've how people can find you. Before we leave, Greg, if HopeMaker succeeds beyond your wildest expectations, what does the world look like?
Yeah, if it succeeds beyond wildest expectations, here's what it looks like. It would probably take about 500 million people practicing the 5 values and running their own little discussion groups in their homes, in their neighborhoods, or in their churches, or in their schools, talking about how can we practice these 5 values and live them more deeply. And when that happens, the vision of Hope Makers will have succeeded beyond imagination.
Amazing. Greg, this has been a powerful conversation. I'm moved by your vision. It's very cool. As somebody who's lived in Asia for 4 years, now currently living in South America, I know and see that there is a need for hope beyond just the US. A lot of people around the world don't have much hope. So I very much see the vision, and I'm all for putting this out there and getting more people to rally behind the cause.
Thank you, Jay.
Yeah, Greg, for now, you've already dropped your breadcrumbs, so I want to be respectful of your time. Say goodbye. Thank you so much for coming on. If you're listening to this and HopeMaker sounds like something that you can stand behind, Greg left his breadcrumbs for you to reach out to him on his website and through his LinkedIn. And if you like stories like this, hearing from other leaders that are pushing the envelope for not just business growth, but growth for humanity, be sure to listen to JumpifyLabs for more. My name is Jay. Thanks so much. Take care.
Thank you, Jay.